Hello guys, welcome back to Super Guy Boy Show, and today I'm going to be doing a video on the dumbest JoJo series. Now last week I did do a poll on what video ideas y'all wanted to do, and y'all seem to want the idea of the dumbest JoJo series, and that's what I'm going to be looking over. And this video is a bit of a lie since I will be including headcanons and even some theories that I might agree with. So, y'all wanted something negative, but I feel like why be a bit negative when you can say something positive in this video? So yeah, there will be some theories I will be agreeing with or so, or maybe some that I think will be interesting to look through, because I do think while theories can sometimes be very stupid or very uninformed, I do think theories could help looking through a story or a character or a movie in a different light than I think we would originally or the first time. So yes, this is the video on the dumbest JoJo theories. The first theory we're going to be looking through is Jonathan is Star Platinum. Now, I feel like that as its own, just hearing it out loud, should at least give at least the average intelligence JoJo fan some question marks. What makes this sad is that legitimately some JoJo fans actually use this as an actual fact or something that is meant to be in the story. And it makes no sense. Now, I know a lot of people use this as a crutch, but the number one reason why most people say this type of dumb shit is because of, well, Jonathan looks very similar to Star Platinum, and it's not like, hey, it was just a common thing that Araki drew in early eras of JoJo's, and also the Fist of the North Star influences, which you can see a lot of in early parts of JoJo's and in Star Platinum in certain scenes. But you take this to JoJo fans who think this way, and they're like, no. It makes sense because of thematically, since Star Platinum is Jonathan and Star Platinum is the one who defeats Dio, it makes it way more sense. And it's like, no. Not only is this never brought up ever in the series of stands that are possessed by the spirits of people, it's never brought up. The closest thing we could possibly bring is Kira's father, but even that's a stretch because he possessed his own stand. We have never had a character who died and then took the form of someone else's stand. We haven't gone through that. If we're using this type of logic, how come we never got this type of thing ever again in the series? If that's the case, I guess you can say Stone Free is just Kakuin's soul because both of their stands can unravel. Oh wait, that's an actual theory on one of these types of YouTube edits. Like, this type of thinking is kind of surprising, and it shocks me because it's like, how could people see the same series as someone else and think this type of way, and yet people actually use this as an actual fact? It's just kind of bizarre. I know. No, pun intended. It's kind of bizarre that some people legitimately think that Jonathan is Star Platinum, and I feel like that just makes no sense at all. And I hope that this video, anyone who is one of those Jonathan believers, can y'all please stop? Like, stop. It makes no sense. Like, even if we want to throw thematically, sure, I guess if thematically we think a way that the artist didn't intend, I guess it makes sense. But, like, it just doesn't add anything to the story, and it just feels like a really dumb headcanon. Now, the second theory, well, technically a headcanon that we're going to be looking through in this video is King Crimson doesn't erase time. Now, this one has a bit of some merit in a way because this one's a bit more accepted by the JoJo community more than the Jonathan and Star Platinum theory, because specifically in the power scaling community of JoJo's, it seems to be like this idea that arose, I think this year or last year, I don't know when, but it's basically the idea that King Crimson doesn't erase time, but instead changes the perception of time for people. And the thing is that I disagree with this just full-heartedly, just really disagree with this idea because, Diavolo says it himself, the stand stats say it themselves. For me, that's enough evidence for me that it doesn't do that. I think it just erases time. But the thing is that for some reason, people cannot just take this as a headcanon or a way of like, hey, maybe if we look at this ability this way, it might make a little bit more sense, since King Crimson in and of itself is a very strange ability on first glance, and even a second glance. It took me a while just to understand what King Crimson does. But the thing is that people legitimately take this idea and as a fact, like it's actually King Crimson's ability, and I don't get why. I don't get why people have like big arguments in the comments or big power escalation discussions of like, oh no, it's impossible that King Crimson can erase time because technically he's still moving around or whatever. Like, I see a lot of people saying stuff like, well, how come he phases through objects, but then other times he doesn't, and he moves out of the way of some objects, even though they're ignoring the context that he puts himself in better positions, like with the Bruno fight. But when he let the bullets phase through him in the Risotto fight, he didn't really need to position himself. He had basically won the fight, and Risotto was just using this as a final attempt to get back at Diavolo. And also, people are ignoring the fact that Diavolo was nearly dead. He had lost most of his most of his iron in his blood, and couldn't even stand up. So basically, he didn't really need to position himself if he was already in a winning position in the battle. Also, I think what makes this a little bit more, at least toxic, or in a way, I'm trying to find a better word, is that when people are having arguments about King Crimson's ability and all of that, what makes this a little bit more kind of just odd to me is that even though it's stated in the series and the character himself and other characters and the stand stats, for some reason people just take this as no, 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 no. It's impossible for that to happen because how could he do this and blah, 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 and all of that. I know I'm kind of like simplifying it, but I'm just wondering, when did we come to a point where we're just taking what the character says himself as just false? That just doesn't make any sense. Of course, it's like, I don't get where King Crimson, like, Diavolo explains the ability enough times to basically get that it erases time. But no, people just think this. It's like, no, you don't get the ability. Some random, 26-year-old who, read JoJo's, understand more of this than like an actual, writer who wrote this like, decades ago. I understand it more than the actual writer. It would make more sense for like other stand abilities that aren't properly explained. A big example is heavy weather. We still don't technically know how it works. Even when Pucci gives an explanation, he says it's more of a theory and more of like trying to, think of an idea of what possibly is happening. We still don't know that ability. But when we get enough explanations for King Crimson, it just feels odd to me that people are like, no, I'm in the right because I'm taking the ability in a different light, even though it's completely separate what the actual character says himself. Also, for any of y'all that are still confused on King Crimson's ability, there's a great video that Hamon B did where he basically breaks down King Crimson in the most simplest of ways, and it's fairly understandable, only 10 minutes, and I recommend you watch it if you're still confused on King Crimson's ability. He explains it, in my opinion, pretty well. Even I was so confused the first time I was into JoJo's, and I think up until that video was actually the first time I started to get what King Crimson's ability is, and I suggest y'all should do the same. And in general, I think that this theory headcanon is very flawed. And I think what makes it even more of a disappointment for me is that a lot of JoJo fans, specifically in the power scaling community of JoJo's, use this as a actual crutch that it's supposed to be that way, even though we have abilities that literally haven't been explained. But yeah, this one, it's been fairly explained enough, but no, 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 no. This way is supposed to be the right way, which, I don't know. It just seems weird. Weird to me. The third one we're going to be looking through is Diavolo is King Crimson. I'm going to say I kind of agree with this one, and I feel like it would be a lot more interesting to kind of think about. It's nothing stupid like Jonathan the Star Platinum or anything, but I think it is a fairly interesting theory to think about. Now, I'm gonna be honest, the first time I watched Golden Wind, the first half, I think it was after the Risotto fight, and that is where it stopped because the dub didn't dub the last half of Golden Wind. But I remember around there, I took a break from it because I had to wait for the rest of the episodes to be dubbed, and I remember I had the idea that perhaps King Crimson is perhaps Diavolo's actually the stand King Crimson who took over Doppio's body because he was weak-minded. We kind of see this in some ways throughout the series. A big example being Holly's stand that took over her body and nearly killed her and had to be in a coma because of it. Another example is Cheap Trick, which Basically, because of the user's weak will, the stand basically became like separate away from the user's own will and all of that. And I thought that was going to be the same thing too, that King Crimson was just a stand that took over Doppio's body. And of course, we don't really get an explanation really what Diavolo is in general. We're just getting kind of ideas or just theories, even by Polnareff. We still don't know how or what Diavolo is, which is another aspect. I feel like if Araki did explain it, would kind of ruin his character, but I think that this theory is fairly interesting. Not only is it supported by like some events in the story, but it kind of gives you a new light, kind of seeing how Diavolo's character is in general. And I kind of want to see that in Jojo Lands. I have actually caught up to Jojo Lands, really good so far. I will make a video on my thoughts on Jojo Lands, but I feel like it just makes an interesting idea to think about. And also, even if it's kind of like a dumb theory to think about, I feel like it would be cool if we see that in Jojo Lands, like a stand user who basically is so weak-minded as that his own stand basically became the main personality. I think that's a very interesting theory. So, in my opinion, a bit valid, and I feel like it is a very interesting one to think about. And that'll be all the theories I'll be looking through in this video. Hopefully y'all like this video a lot, and hopefully y'all have a great day. Like I usually say in every video, put down in the comments below what type of JoJo specific content y'all want to see. And also don't put anything like strongest type of stuff. I want to lean away towards that. Something a bit more original JoJo content in this channel, please. So if y'all want to see a specific idea from JoJo's, put it down in the comments, and hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. Hopefully y'all have a great day. And yeah, see ya.